guess kicking off with the obvious one, have you been enjoying yourself at Comic Con? Do you enjoy this place?
Yeah, I have this morning. It's nice because I just came up from London this morning, and I've been at the table all morning. I've just done a Q&A, and I really like, I like meeting the fans. I like that thing of getting their questions and talking to them about the shows I've done, and that's the really great pleasure for me, is meeting all the fans.
Someone who's been part of so many fantastic franchises, film shows, what are the most common questions that people are firing at you when you get the chance to meet?
The questions are very varied. I mean, sometimes it's about character arcs in the show. Sometimes there are technical questions about how the show works. Sometimes there are fantasy questions about who would you like to play in the show if you didn't play yourself, things like that. They ask me about the show now, even though I'm not in it anymore. They ask me about what I feel about the trajectory of the characters. That's been the thing, more storytelling. Also, sometimes it's about the logistics of the show, how it's put together. So all sorts of questions like that. Sometimes I get questions about how I feel Liverpool are going to do this season.
Very well, I hope.
Yeah, all that. So, I get lots of different questions. But I'm always amazed by the questions concerning the shows like Britannia, Walking Dead, Doctor Who, about people's opinion about the development of the script and the character and where the show should be going, or where they feel they'd like to see it develop, and where they've loved doing it and stuff like that. So the fans of these big franchises like Doctor Who, Walking Dead, Britannia, they take ownership of the show. They really care, and I love that. I love meeting people and chatting to them about their passion for the project.
On the subject of The Walking Dead, they've just announced that they're going to start doing spin-off films now. Would you be interested in doing a prequel showing how the government came about?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot. I love my experience on The Walking Dead. It was a show I'd love to go back to in any capacity. I've often said I'd make the tea for them if they asked me, because it was a wonderful experience, and it's a show made by fantastic people, really talented people. And you want to work with those people. I love the character. I feel like the character's got more to give, and I think that's why the show gets actors, good actors in it, because they give you a backstory. They give you real things to play, and it's it is a survivalist show, but it's something about the human relationships inside the show that really click into people, I think. And I would go back in the shot, and also I have to say that Andrew Lincoln is an actor who I admire both as a man and an actor, so to do anything with him would be a pure pleasure.
You obviously care about the character just as much as the fans do. I'm curious, what is it when you say you love the character? What is it you love most about it?
I like his complexity. I think there's a whole sense of the governor where he's not just out and out evil. He has his moments where he has this red mist that comes over him, but he does have a conscience. I think the whole thing with his daughter is about him being a good father. He does have humanity. It's very warped because the world is warped, but I can see the inner struggle, particularly in season 4, the inner struggle inside him to where he morally sits. He is fighting the dark side in him a lot, particularly in season 4, and that's a battle that I think we all have in microcosm sometimes, but we all have it, that we go, who do I listen to today? Do I listen to the good angel or the bad angel? And he has that, and I love that complexity and his capacity for love, and then his capacity for karma.
David, jumping on this, really, the question about would you go back to filming? I'm assuming you're aware that there's a number of novels that my daughter's just read, The Rise of the Governor and things like that, which seem, and because it was co-written by Robert Kirkman, it seems that it's already written there if it needs to be turned into a film. Is that something that has been discussed?
Well, the great thing about Jay and Robert's novels is that that's where I took a lot of the characterization for my governor. There's the comic strip where I went to the books and I read the books. And we did use some of the story stuff from those books in the season, the whole thing about Brian and Philip and the whole thing about with the family that he rediscovers in season 4, that's from those books. But I think they're wonderful, and yeah, I'd love to do that. I would. As I say, I love the world, I love the genre, I love the character. So, if the powers that be deemed it right to do it, then I would love to. I think it's sometimes you walk away from a job and you think, I'll finish with that character. Whereas the governor, I don't feel that. I think there's a lot more to mine, really. But I think possibly every actor that's been on The Walking Dead could say the same, because they write so well for you. They give you fully rounded characters. There's no one coming in, as far as I can see, coming in and just giving a few lines. There's people coming in and they have really good storylines to play.
You've got a new project coming up on the.
I thought I'd put that off. I do apologise.
What are the new projects you've got?
So the project I've just finished about 2 days ago was Britannia season 2.
Okay.
And again, written by Jez Butterworth and Tom Butterworth, and it's we take it on to another level this time. It's second season. My character Orlis is now deeply embedded in Britannia. He's building cities and roads and all the things that the Romans gave us. And he has another agenda, and that is totally to find Kate and use the Druids. And the Druids are in slight disarray. There's different factions emerging in the Druids, and Orlis is able to exploit that in his relationships with different factions. And he's quite a wily person, I think. But his desire for this search for this spirituality and this underworld that the Druids have this amazing capacity to live in a spiritual way, and sometimes a very dark spiritual way, on Earth. And Orlis wants them, and he's pursuing that. I love that. And I think Jez, what I love about his writing, when he wrote plays like Jerusalem, he's really interested in that pre-Christian existence that we have, and how we as a nation worked before the onset of that Roman Christianity that we brought to us. And I love that, particularly because in that we see tribes and people having a respect for the land, and for like any sort of indigenous people had. Really, they had a real spiritual connection with the land around their environment, and how they used it and honoured it. And I think we, as in the 21st century, we've slightly lost it. Well, we've definitely lost it. So it's about. I love the fact that Jez explores that as well.
And it sounds like it's a bigger world that we're moving into in the second season. I'm curious, are there new characters and new areas?
Yeah, there's lots of new characters, and there's new areas in the sense that he explores Kate, who is the main focus of everybody's attention. She's growing up, she's getting to a place where she becomes maximum danger for us. So we explore that, and we explore the fact that he's having to be the ultimate politician. The new characters are people like Emperor Claudius comes to Britain, played brilliantly by Steve Pemberton, who is a mate of mine. And there's a power struggle there. So suddenly, Orlis, having been top dog, he has to play second in command, or not even third in command. Sometimes he's not good at that. And there's a confrontation between them. And it's a very dangerous place for Orlis to inhabit. And how he negotiates that in a very, I would say, recognisable political way, in the way we see our politicians now, is very interesting. So yeah, there's lots of that.
Another project you've been working on recently was the Good Omens series.
Yes.
How is, that's another show with a phenomenal cast. How is it just being involved with that?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Neil Gaiman. I just think he's a bit of a genius, really. So when that was muted, I just jumped up and said yes. And I play Captain Vincent, and it's it's not a big, huge role. It was a day's work for me. But I love being involved with it. I didn't, unfortunately, get to work with David or Michael, two actors I admire and have worked with in the past. But it was great to do, and just such a blast to be involved with. Actually, I think it's such a great book, and Neil's writing is something that I think is really, you can lose yourself wonderful way. So yes, I was jacked to be a part of it, but I haven't seen any of it yet. So who knows?
And you mentioned working with Michael now because you worked with the deal.
Yeah.
The Crown, of course, is running from the same guy on Netflix at the moment. Eventually, they're probably going to get a point to needing a Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in reprising the role?
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if Peter went.
Right.
I think he's sort of he's really covered that. And, you know, and it'll be interesting what he does with Diana as well, because obviously that's something he's explored as well. So it would, you know, I think the next season goes up to through the 70s.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does 80s, 90s. Really. I saw Olivia Colman the other day, and she's really enjoying being in it. So I'm looking forward to it. It was a TV show I thought I'd hate. I came to it, I'm not going to like this. I thought it was a really wonderful piece. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the new cast as well.
Yeah.
And Tobias Menzies as Philip, who again as an actor I love, and Helena Bonham Carter, who's just, you know, we all know how wonderful she is. So really looking forward to those people taking on those roles.
I loved you in One Summer. It's one of the first things I remembered on Channel 4. It still sort of sticks with me today. It's a very powerful thing. You seem to be an actor who's been very fortunate, very lucky. All killers, no fillers. Are you at a point now where you are able to be more choosy, where you say, I'd love to work on Good Omens, I'd love to work on Britannia, yes please, and therefore are you able to say no to certain things?
Yes, I am, luckily. I mean, I am lucky, and I do think that what I've tried to do in my career is build choice so that I can have different roles. I also work in the theatre as well as TV and film and stuff like that. I do, you know, radio and voiceovers and stuff like that. So it is very challenging for me. You know, I like to be challenged. So the different roles that come, I often think, have I done this before? What's he going to ask of me? You know.
What's something you haven't done then that you'd still want to scratch? You're too young to play Lear at the moment, but
yeah.
I believe your Julius Caesar was very good.
I love doing that. Yeah, I played Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. I recently saw Antony and Cleopatra at the National with Ray Fiennes.
Were they doing all right?
They were great. So I think I'd like to play Antony and Cleopatra, but I think there's those big Shakespearean roles, Benedict and stuff. There's a lot of Chekhov I'd like to do. I've never done Chekhov professionally. So yeah, those things. But also I like to put myself in the way of surprise. So, you know, I like to. Britannia is a perfect example. I was sitting at home. Jez phoned me up and said, "Look, I've just got onto this job. I don't know what it's going to be, but I promise you it'll be fun." And I said, "Okay," because I wanted to work with him. I didn't know anything about the character. I didn't know anything about the script, really. I knew the world, and I knew what their ambition for. But all I knew was this was a great, great writer whose work I'd seen in the theatre and admired and been excited about. I mean, Jerusalem I saw several times. And so, you know, when he comes knocking, you go, okay, I'm going to jump. I'm going to jump. And I think that's the thing. I think that you can't be cautious as an actor. You have to be brave. You have to jump in and really, who knows what will happen. And in a way, I don't care that much. How it turns out is sort of the least interesting thing for me. It's more about the adventure of going on it. It's about working with great people and working together with them. Once they take it off and do what they want to do with it, that's up to them. And that, for me, is sort of the least interesting thing. Because I'm on it on a day-to-day basis, and that's the bit I like. So, you know, when I go to screenings of stuff, I think it's great, but it sort of has nothing to do with me. It seems to have less to do with me than I want it to. Whereas the great thing about theatre is, even in its execution, it's still got something to do with you, because you're doing it right there and then. That's the thing. So, yeah, I mean, I like to challenge myself and mess that up. And also, you know, I like to, sometimes you choose jobs for different reasons. I like to see the world. You know, so sometimes they say, well, there's a job in Australia.
Yeah, that must be nice.
The shooting in the Bahamas, I'll do it.
I think we might have to let you go points here, but just a final question. I think you talked about iconic roles there, and I think obviously in the modern canon, the role of the Doctor is very much one of those. I'm curious, as an actor who at least superficially felt to have come very close to taking the role, how you feel about our current Doctor and the obviously significant change that represented, and if there was ever a possibility you would take the role.
there was never a possibility that I was going to. It was a slight curveball that came to me because I filmed the Christmas special and we filmed it in February. It was called The Next Doctor, and I was playing a man who thought he was the next doctor. Just after we'd shot the episode, David Tennant announced he was going to leave, so then this rumour mill happened. And Russell asked me to sort of not say that it wasn't. And then I said, but I can tell my kids. And he went, no, you can't tell them. They'll tell someone in their playground, and then I'll go, and I thought, okay, so I won't tell anybody. So, for about 6 months, nobody knew that I was going to be there. But I think Jodie's fantastic, and I think it's about time. And I think she brings a real different dynamic to it, but I think she's got everything the doctor needs. I think, what happens when anybody takes over from the doctor, it happened to Peter and Matt, and David to some extent, is that it's not as good as the last one. And it takes time. It takes time for that new vision, and obviously with Jodie there's other people as well, because behind the scenes there's new writers and showrunners and stuff. That'll take time, but I'm really enjoying it. So, I think it's going to be a really exceptional piece of work as it goes on. But every new doctor has this time when people are a bit like, no, it's going to be fantastic.
So we'll see you in Britannia. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
great. Thank you very much. Thank you all.